focusing primarily at where it started, his life as a student. For me, I would like us to remember him as the Minister of Planning, the Minister of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. In that capacity, I interacted with him in my capacity as chair in social justice research at Stellenbosch University.
Yeah.
One of the pathologies of people in government, and I've been in government myself, is worrying about who will get credit for something, worrying about who will be regarded as process owner. He did not have that pathology. We approached him about two things: sustainable development goals and about the work we're doing on the M plan on social justice. He was mandated by the president to address our first summit on social justice in 2019. He wasn't concerned when we met with him, when we had interactions with him in the run up to the event and during the event. He wasn't concerned about the fact that this was a private initiative and that government has been brought in when all of the ducks are in a row.
Yeah.
He was just concerned about how is this going to contribute to the dream of a South Africa that is founded on social justice and where everyone's potential is freed and life improved. And without hesitation, he endorsed the M plan, committed government to participate and partner with us in the process. Just lastly, Xoli, it is said that the temperature is set from the top. So I have no doubt that he was obviously sent by the president. But for me, it is the president. It is the example he set for his officials. Last year, when we had to meet with his staff, with his DG and DDGs, it was the day after the president's sauna. And that's when DDGs and DGs want to go and play golf with the president, or at least carry bags for the people who are playing golf. His DG, Tsidiso Matona, and a couple of DDGs showed up at our offices to discuss how can we collaborate in making sustainable development goals real to every South African, to every ward, and partner with the people of South Africa in dreaming the South Africa we want and using the SDGs as a model for ending poverty by 2030 and reducing structural inequality.
Yeah. Professor Madonsela, you cannot talk about social justice in our country, South Africa, without making reference to the issue of corruption which impedes on people's livelihoods. And many people in South Africa remember you in your role as the former public protector. And it's interesting because Jackson Mthembu goes to become the chief whip of the ANC in Parliament in 2016. That's the same year that you are exiting as the public protector. And it's obviously at a very, very tumultuous time in our country because this is at the height of you about to release the report into Nkandla. The report around state capture, which you termed your report. I want us first, Professor, before we continue, I want us first to listen to Jackson Mthembu on the issues of corruption and how these needed to be dealt with.
There are so many wonderful public servants out there. So many wonderful leaders, political and otherwise, in government. But there's just a blessed few that messes up with our name. Blessed few. And then it appears as if the entirety of government is rotten to the core. Unless we defend ourselves, and the only way of defending ourselves is to get those who are corrupt to book.
And there he is, Professor, did Jackson Mthembu abhor the issue of corruption so much? But I want you to strike a balance for me with him instructing the members of the ANC in Parliament to vote in a particular way when that motion of no confidence came against the former president.
No, absolutely. He stood by the truth he knew, the truth that Oliver Tambo had cherished over the years, that you cannot defend wrongdoing by saying the people who were responsible for apartheid and colonialism were also corrupt. And therefore his approach was, if you stand for better governance, you have to stand for better governance, even if it means standing against one of your own or some of your own. And this clip that you just played was quintessential Jackson Mthembu, who was one of the few, or one of the many, but few in power, who remain married to the dream that the South Africa we want, the one that is reflected in the Constitution, requires us to disrupt the patterns of the past. We cannot replicate the patterns of corruption. We cannot replicate the patterns of justice for just a few if we want that South Africa that people like Oliver Tambo and others fought for many years.
Yeah. Prof, as I wrap up my conversation with you, I'd like for you to tell me in your heart of hearts whether Jackson Mthembu leaves this world a satisfied man that the ANC was well and truly on the path toward self-correction, or would we say he perhaps left this planet a disappointed man?
I cannot speak for him, but I do suspect that he was disappointed because he is one of those who stood for the truth about creating a society that is founded on social justice. And obviously, corruption is a thief of everything that's good, including the betterment of humanity. Bad governance and maladministration is also a thief of the opportunity to improve people's lives. I think he was sad about that. But what I do know that he remained hopeful. Even in the face of COVID-19, I saw a tweet where he talks about people being human, because for him, it was about, yes, we made mistakes, but today has to be better than yesterday. And I think that he still thought that South Africa can be saved. Did he think the ANC could still be saved? I think so. He thought the ANC could still be saved because he would have left the ANC. And those who are now talking about Jackson Mthembu as a great human being have an opportunity to show that their appreciation by taking the baton where he left it on two things, or maybe on three. One, on a resolute stand against corruption by being committed to the truth and not committed to persons. The second thing he was committed to was social justice, which is about the betterment of everybody's lives, about removing the burden of oppression on everyone. And today, the oppression is not apartheid. The burden of oppression is poverty.
Yeah.
The burden of oppression is inequality, the enduring power dynamics of apartheid. He wanted us to dismantle those power dynamics, not just for a few black elites, for every person in all of the 4,392 wards in this country. But thirdly, he also was one of those people who believed in human decency. that me and you can disagree, but we don't have to raise our voices. We don't have to call each other names. We don't have to refuse to listen to each other just because we do not belong to the same clique, to the same party, or to the same ideology. He just believed that this country was built on dialogue. This country was built by leaders who believed in human decency. And if we are going to take it to a better place, we have to embrace human dignity, human decency, and kindness. And that all of those are part of Ubuntu.
Yeah.
So I would say in parting, he was truly umuntu, because in Siswati and Zulu, when we say ungumuntu, that's a whole thesis. It's not one word. If I say ungumuntu, I mean you are the epitome of Ubuntu.
Professor Thuli Madonsela, I couldn't have said it better. Thank you very much for your honest reflections